Hello students, welcome you all once again to my video for the same chapter that I have already started in my previous video. In my previous video, I started explaining a story of English book Moments, class 9. The chapter that I have already started in my previous video as part 1, it was The Lost Child, written by Mulk Raj Anand. Students, in my previous video I have explained up to here fear through the mustard field, this page and up to here. And students, till here we have come to know that a lost child. The story is all about a little child who was very excited because he was going with his parents to a village fair. So he was very excited and he was distracted, he was attracted, he was fascinated by various type of things like toys, dragonflies, mustard field, then sound of the dove, flower petals that fell on him. So I suggest everyone that please go through the first video that I have made of the chapter The Lost Child. Then it will be easier for you to understand this video. So students, without delaying, let's start the rest of the part of the story, The Lost Child. What happens after it? So we have read out in my previous video that the child was taken in a lap of his parents and again they started going to the village fair. So as they neared the village, the child could see many other footpaths full of thorns converging to the whirlpool of the fair, and felt at once repelled and fascinated by the confusion of the world he was entering. When the little child, along with his parents, was going to the village fair, so when they reached to the village where this village fair was arranged, so when they reached up to there, up to that particular village, the child could see full of thorns, the other footpaths full of thorns. Thorns means huge crowds. Thorns means huge crowds of the people converging to the whirlpool of the fair. Converging means gathering. Converging means gathering to the whirlpool. Whirlpool in this story, whirlpool means rings of the water. Actually, the whirlpool means rings of water that we can see in rivers, the rings of the waves, the rings of the water. Similarly, in this story, whirlpool means the crowd of the people seems to be a whirlpool of a water. So and failed means he was very confused because of seeing the gathering of the people in that particular village. Means he almost reached to the fair. So obviously in the fair there was huge crowds of the people. A sweetmeat seller hawked gulab jamun, rasgulla, barfi, jalebi at the corner of the entrance, and a crowd pressed round his counter at the foot of an architecture of many colored sweets decorated with leaves of silver and gold. As they entered the village fair, at the entrance of the village fair, what the little child saw? He saw that a sweet seller was sitting just corner of the path, and various type of sweets were kept in such a decorative manner that it seemed it was decorated by an architect. In a very nice way the sweets were kept. As generally we can see in the sweet shop, the various type of sweets are kept in various style. So the child was fascinated. Definitely we know the children love sweets. So see the next line. The child stayed open-eyed and his mouth watered for the burfi that was his favorite sweet. So this child's favorite sweet was burfi. So he was staring at the burfi because he loved burfi. I want that burfi, he slowly murmured. But he half knew as he begged that his plea would not be heeded because his parents would say he was greedy. So without waiting for an answer, he moved on. This child already knew, or you can say almost knew, their parents' desire. So when this child means pleaded for that particular burfi, that he wanted that burfi, so without waiting for the answer of his parents, he moved on. Why? Because he knew that his parents would not allow him to take the burfi. Rather, his parents would give him the reason. What was the reason? He knew that his parents would say him that he was very greedy. That's why he was pleading for burfi. So without waiting his parents' answer, he moved on further. Means he didn't take the sweets. He didn't get the sweets. Next, the flower seller hogged a garland of gulmohar. A garland of gulmohar. Next, the child saw a flower seller and he was calling a garland of gulmohar, means a chain of flower. Gulmohar is a kind of flower. So a garland of gulmohar. This one the flower seller was calling about. The child seemed irresistibly drawn. He went towards the basket where the flowers lay heaped and half murmured, I want that garland. But he well knew his parents would refuse to buy him those flowers because they would say that they were cheap. So without waiting for an answer, he moved on. Again, the child knew his parents' answer. So without waiting at flower seller, he moved on after asking that he wanted that garland. He requested again that little boy requested that he wanted a garland of gulmohar, means a chain of flower. But without waiting his parents' answer, he moved on further. Why? Because he knew that his parents would not give him those flowers. Rather, his parents would give him the reason for not giving those flowers. And what was the reason? The reason was that his parents would say him it was cheap to buy a garland of gulmohar. So he moved further. Next, what he saw? A man stood holding a pole of yellow, red, green and purple balloons flying from it. The child was simply carried away by the rainbow glory of their silken colors, and he was filled with an overwhelming desire to possess them all. Generally we know, when we go to the fair, to any fair, our children are very excited. Why they are quite excited? they are excited to take or to buy colorful balloons. So similarly, in this story we came to know that this little boy, when he saw a man holding a pole with various colors of, means rainbow colors of balloons, red, yellow, green, purple, blue. So this little boy was fascinated because of colorful balloons and he wanted to buy all balloons. But he well knew his parents would never buy the balloons because they would say he was too old to play with such toys. So he worked on further. Again, he wanted to purchase or he wanted to buy all colorful balloons, but he knew that his parents would say him that he was too old to play with such balloons. So he, without waiting at that place, moved on. He did not wait for the balloons because he knew that his parents would not give him. Next, the little boy saw a snake charmer stood playing a flute to a snake which coiled itself in a basket. Its head raised in a graceful bend like a neck of a swan, while the music stole into its invisible ears like the gentle rippling of an invisible waterfall. Next, rippling means waves of the water. Swan means duck. So say student, here next the child saw a snake charmer. Snake charmer means the person who plays flute in front of the snake so that the snake can dance. We know that snakes have no ears, but still snakes dance. How? Because they see the whole of the flute and they move in the way that the flute swing in the air. So say the child saw the snake charmer and he was very fascinated because of the sound of the that flute, that is called bean. So sound of the bean. But he knew that his parents would be very angry because his parents already told him that such a music, such a coarse music means bad music, is not good for the children. So see, the child went towards the snake charmer, but knowing his parents had forbidden him to hear such coarse music as the snake charmer played, he proceeded further. He was fascinated because of the sound of the bean that a snake charmer was playing there. But he moved on from there because he knew that his parents would be very, very angry. Why? Because his parents already told him that such a music is not good for children. So he, without waiting at that place, moved on further. There was a roundabout in full swing. Men, women and children carried away in a reeling motion, stricken and carried with dizzy laughter. Next, what he saw? He saw a roundabout. What is roundabout? A roundabout is a ride that we can see in the fair. झूला, जिसे हम लोग झूला कहते हैं. So, men, women and children carried away in the reeling motion, means round motion. Many people were swing, carried away in a reeling motion. Okay, in that roundabout. The child watched them intently and then he made a bold request. I want to go on that roundabout. Please, father, mother. This time he did not speak in a low tone. Rather, he spoke in a very high tone. What this little boy said to his parents? He said that he wanted to go to that roundabout, to that jhula. Why? Because finally he wanted that. He wanted that. He wanted to swing in that roundabout. So he very boldly requested his parents that he wanted to go for the roundabout. There was no reply. He turned to look at his parents. They were not there. Ahead of him, he turned to look on either side. They were not there. He looked behind. There was no sign of them. When he requested for the roundabout, then he turned back, left, right, front, all sides. But he didn't find his parents. His parents were not there. He didn't find out any sign of his parents near of him. Means finally he is lost. He is missing in that fear. What happened next? It is very interesting, no? A full deep cry rose within his dry throat, and with a sudden jerk of his body, he ran from where he stood, crying in real fear, "Mother! Father!" The little boy was in panic. He was frightened. He was afraid. Why? Because he was lost. He was not getting his parents near of him. It was very bad for him. He was in fear. Tears rolled down from his eyes, hot and fierce. His flushed face was convulsed with fear. Panic stricken, he ran to one side first, then to other, hither and thither, in all direction, knowing not where to go. "Mother, father," he wailed. He was trying to find out. The child was in great fear. He was trying to find out his parents. He was not getting them. So, hither and thither means here and there. His face was full of fear. His tears means the tears from his eyes was rolling down from his face over his cheek. So see, and he wailed. Wailed means shouted loudly, "Mother, father!" Having run to and fro in a rage of running for a while, he stood defeated, his cries suppressed into sobs. At little distances on the green grass, he could see through his filmy eyes. Filmy eyes means full of tears. That when the tears are there in our eyes, we cannot see clearly. We can see means what? Hazy because of tears. So filmy eyes, man and woman talking. He tried to look intently among the patches of bright yellow clothes, but there was no sign of his father and mother among these people who seemed to love and talk just for a sake of laughing and talking. Means he was trying to find out his parents in various crowds. Sometimes he ran towards another crowd, then ran another crowd. Means he was searching, he was in search of his parents, but he was not getting any trace of them. What happened next? He ran quickly again, this time to a shrine. Shrine means temple. This time to a shrine to which people seemed to be crowding. Every little inch of space here was congested with man, but he ran through people's legs, his little sob lingering, "Mother, father." Near the entrance to the temple, however, the crowd became very thick. Men jostled means pushed each other heavy man with flashing, murderous eyes and hefty shoulders. Hefty means heavy shoulders. The poor child struggled to thrust away between their feet, but knocked to and fro by their brutal movements. He might have been trembled underfoot. Trembled means crushed underfoot. Had he not striked at the highest pitch of his voice, Father, Mother, a man in the surging crowd, means powerful crowd, heard his cry and stooping, means bending forward, with great difficulty lifted him up in his arm. So, finally, the boy chose to go to a temple where he found heavy crowd. But still, he wanted to find his parents anyhow. So he entered in that crowd. The crowd was huge in that particular temple. But he was trying to go and he was trying to search his parents anyhow. And he was crying, he was shouting, he was shouting, Mother, Father, in that particular crowd. So in that crowd, a man was there who heard this little boy's cry, this little boy's shout. So he just took this boy in his arm, in his lap. And what this man said him. This man is the another character, another important character of the story. So this man lifted this little boy in his arm in that particular temple. And what he said, what he did, now we will come to know. The man tried to, how did you get here, child? Whose baby are you? The man asked as he steered clear of the mass. The child wept more bitterly than ever now and only cried, I want my mother, I want my father. When this man lifted this little boy in his arm, and after he asked that, how did you get here, child? Whose baby are you? So listening this question, the little boy, without giving any answer, he started crying loudly, more than before. The man tried to soothe him. Soothe means relax. The man tried to comfort him, soothe him by taking him to a roundabout. The same roundabout where he wanted to go before. Will you have a ride on the horse? He gently asked as he approached the ring. The child's throat tore into 1,000 shrill sobs and he only shouted, I want my mother, I want my father. See, the man took this little boy to the roundabout. Why? To make him comfortable. And he approached him, he asked him that, do you want to go for this little roundabout? Few minutes before, the same little child wanted to go for the roundabout, but this time he doesn't want to go. This time rather he wants his mother, he wants his father. So he cried out that he wanted his mother, he wanted his father. See students, the man headed towards the place where the snake charmer still played on the flute to the swaying cobra. Listen to that nice music, child, he pleaded. Now this man took this little boy to the snake charmer, where the snake charmer was playing the flute in front of the swaying cobra, where few minutes before the same little child wanted to listen, wanted to stay there, but because of his parents he did not get the place. Now this person offered him that, do you want to listen that music? But the child shut his ears with his fingers and shouted his double pitched strain, I want my mother, I want my father. See, this time, this same little boy did not want to listen the music of the snake charmer. Then the man took him near the balloons, thinking the bright colors of the balloons would distract the child's attention and quieten him. Next, the man took this little crying boy to the balloons, where the bright colorful balloons, and what he asked? He asked, would you like rainbow colored balloons? The child turned his eyes from the flying balloons and just sobbed, I want my mother, I want my father. No. Again this boy does not want to take the balloons. Rather, he wants his parents. The man is still trying to make the child happy. Bored means carried him to the gate where the flower seller said, look, can you smell those nice flowers, child? Would you like a garland to put around your neck? Again this man took this little boy to the flower seller and he offered him, do you want to take the garland of Gulmohar around your neck? But the child turned his nose away from the basket and retorted his sob, I want my mother, I want my father. Reiterated means repeated. The child repeated once again, I want my mother, I want my father. So, here again the child did not want to take the garland of Gulmohar. Finally, thinking to humor means enough, thinking to enough his disconsolate means very unhappy. The child was very unhappy now. Thinking to humor this disconsolate charge by a gift of sweets, the man took him to the corner of sweet shop. What sweets would you like, child? He asked. The child turned his face from the sweet shop and only sobbed, I want my mother, I want my father. Finally, the man, this good man, took this little boy to the sweet shop, where at the beginning of the story, what we found? We found that this little boy wanted his favorite sweet barfi. But now at the end of the story, the man, the stranger, offered him to take any sweet that he liked. But he turned his face from the sweet shop and cried out for his parents. I want my mother, I want my father. Students, here we have completed our story. And what we came to know? We came to know that the love between child and his parents. Here we came to know that this little child likes various things, toys, sweets, garland of Gulmohar, balloons, roundabout. But at the top of everything, he loves his parents. He loves his parents more than anything else. That's why the man offered him everything that he wanted in the story that we read out in the fear. But when he is missing in the fear, when he is lost in the fear, he wanted only his parents, not any other things. So students, we have completed the story over here. We came to know the real bonding, the real love, affection between children and their parents. So we know that we love our parents at first. So you have to read out this story, this nice story, and you have to understand better with the difficult words. I hope you have written the meanings of the difficult words that I explained throughout the story. So students, in the next part, we will discuss regarding questions, answers of the chapter. So thank you very much for now. Thank you.